Hi, this is Buzz Waterston, the Globetrotting Dentist, and I'm in Toledo in Spain. And today, with the very high-speed trains they have, you can get from Madrid, center of Madrid, to the center of Toledo in about a half hour. Costs about, I guess, about $13, $14. And one of the things about traveling, by the way, is you don't just buy a ticket to the train, you also buy a seat assignment. So that's really important to remember. At any rate, I'm overlooking the river Tajo, and this river travels from east to west, and ends up passing through Lisbon in Portugal and emptying into the Atlantic. Apparently the expression Holy Toledo came from the Jewish community. This area had a thriving Jewish community at a time when Jews were allowed to live in freedom in relatively few places in Europe. Let's say going back to, the year 1100 even. And so because Jews were allowed to have businesses and live anywhere they pleased in this area and to prosper, and also this was the religious center of Jewish Spain, and a big center of Christianity and Islam as well, and the three faiths coexisted in Toledo during the Middle Ages. At any rate, I'll show you the Tajo River, which turns into the Tejo River gradually. Very pretty river. I'll take two. Okay, so at any rate, for Jews living in medieval Spain, Holy Toledo was the closest thing to a holy city outside of Israel, and apparently some people think that's where the phrase comes from. So at any rate, let's get to the dental tip of the day, why don't we? Glad you asked. So, let's say you have this tooth, and sometimes it's sensitive to cold things for a couple of seconds rather. Sometimes it's sensitive to sweet things for a couple of seconds. Sometimes it's sensitive when you bite on it. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's sensitive when you go to chew and then you release the pressure. Well, if something has a weird history like this, you go into your dentist and you describe all these symptoms and the dentist looks at you like you've probably grown 3 heads. You may have a hairline fracture in a tooth, and these fractures start microscopically, almost always within the tooth under an old filling, usually an old unbonded silver filling, which has weakened the tooth. And then the fractures spread microscopically to a point where you are eating fresh white bread just out of the oven and your tooth breaks in half. So, important thing is, you get these weird seeming symptoms and you think you're going really crazy and your dentist isn't going to believe you. Give your dentist a chance on this one, because it's one of the hardest things to diagnose in dentistry. But if you don't get it diagnosed before it happened, the tooth can crack catastrophically. It can crack so that it needs a crown to rebuild it. It can crack so that it has to be extracted. Sometimes these teeth crack in half. So give your dentist a chance on the diagnosis on this one. And other than that, have a great day, okay?